Coach Johnston.
Which I think it's safe to say that Kristen kind of struggled at the end. Were you happy for her that she was the one that knocked down that last free throw? And also, what did you say to her after she kept missing some of those 3 balls and turning the ball over too?
I thought Kristen played exceptionally well. I know she's going to think about a 2.5 minute stretch there where she was not at her best, but she really carried us with some of the shots that she hit. She not only made a free throw late, but she had a couple of plays where she penetrated the basket late in overtime, and she had one lay in and found somebody else for an open look. So she made the plays when she had to. Just tried to get her to calm down. I do think the environment works against both teams, even if it's for you or against you. I do think the team probably felt a little bit of pressure there down the stretch. I did as a coach. I can't imagine that they were any different. I think probably players on both teams feel that. And I think that just got to us a little bit. Didn't feel like Will Roberts changed things dramatically, but we got really timid there with the ball on the perimeter. We did a great job, I think, tacking the baseline and tacking the short corner. The last 2.5 minutes, we really got kind of 35 feet away from the basket, and that's all we did. So I just think some of the pressure got to us as a team, not just to Kristen.
Coach, you kind of had 9, 10, 11-point leads at various points during the game. They always just seem to fight back, and especially the last 4 minutes when you had a 65-56 lead. Was it just tensing up, or was it just them having the will to fight back?
I think both. When we're not scoring, they're going to score points. They're one of the best offensive teams in the nation for a reason. So it wasn't because our defense broke down. It wasn't because of any lapse on that end. I thought defensively we played great. We held a very good offensive team pretty much in check. We gave them some things, and we didn't really break defensively. We just didn't score. 1 or 2 more baskets there in the last 2.5 minutes, and that's a whole different game. We had 1 turnover, then 2, and then it kind of became a little bit of a landslide, and just never got that big bucket. All that said, Kristen still had a shot. We're trying to get a timeout there with that offensive rebound, and they had you just can't hear anything in there. And then all of a sudden, Kristen got a good look. I don't think they really realized we had 30 seconds left and needed to hang on to it there, but that's how the crowd can help and hurt, I suppose, at that time. But we just couldn't get a timeout. If we would have made that, I think we'd all be talking a little different about Kristen.
What do you think it says about the team and the experience you have to kind of be able to hang in there and then get the job done so late? I mean, is that part of the reason why you think you were able to do that at the end because of the experience?
Yeah, I'm really happy overall. I look at this game, and you win one at the end there, it feels really good. But this team, and you look at our record, it doesn't show it, but this team lost a lot of those close games early on. You can look at these losses, and the majority of them, except for probably 2 or 3 of them, were within reach, maybe not in the last 2 seconds of the game, but going into the second half. We just didn't pull them out. And this year's, or this day's game really showed a different team. I felt we were a lot more resilient than we were early on. And so I'm proud of them for that. It's not easy at all, so I'm really happy for them.
Coach, last year there was so much focus, and you guys had a chance to, if you didn't win the tournament, you still made the NCAA, so people looking ahead, projecting, you guys probably had a chance to eyeball things a little more. I imagine you didn't do much of that this year. Where do you feel like things sort of stand now going forward, because you gotta look ahead?
We're in the tournament. That's about all we know, and that's all we will know for a few more days. And that's okay. It'd be nice to actually get away from basketball a little bit. We'll take tomorrow off, and we'll practice a couple of times, another day off, practice, and then we'll know kind of where we're at. So these next few days, we'll just try and stay sharp and get our legs back and kind of re-energize. And the team is exceptionally tired, I would think. I know I'm exceptionally tired. And right now it's just time to enjoy this and also think about what's coming up in a few days.
AJ, the 3-point, you guys obviously thriving on the 3-point shot in the first half, but then when they start not going in, then it's not as fun maybe. You guys clearly just sort of hanging around the perimeter. Is that a concern, being sort of one-dimensional in the offensive attack?
Yeah, it's difficult to go inside, though. I mean, every time you throw the ball in the short corner, every time you throw it in the post, they come and trap you. So we got some of that in the first half, and those players didn't score, but we really collapsed, I think, their zone and found some open shooters. I think as the game went on, we got a couple of looks for Maria, and she had to score a lot of points, some of them in offensive rebounds, and not just pounding her in the post. But it's difficult just to attack the basket. It's a hard defense to run sets against, so it's not like you can come out of timeouts and have 4 different things drawn up. So you have to just rely on your players. For the most part, I would say we did a great job of the balance until the last 3-4 minutes. I thought we were just so spread out offensively. But you can't force something that's not there, and no team gets layups against them. We just really have a hard time.
Take 2 more for Coach Johnston.
Coach, Maria and Kenny were talking about this feeling almost a little better maybe than last year because of the adversity. Do you feel the same way? I mean, when you, at the end of this game, were you like, hey, really excited we did it?
You know, I was thinking about that a lot today. I answered a question yesterday, and I do feel like this tournament's been more enjoyable. And I do feel like it's because of kind of what we've gone through. Happy for these seniors. They feel like it's a more special moment because it's their team. And they have a lot of pressure and expectation placed on them. But it's also because it's the moment we're in right now. You know, last year was a heck of a lot of fun too, I guess, as I look back on it. But this one, I think, just has a little bit more of a special place because of maybe the challenge that it was to get here. Things didn't come easy. In last year's team, things didn't come easy either. But we certainly went through more downs this year than we have in the past, and it's nice to see that we can still rise up. There's some really good lessons I think the students learned about themselves.
Aaron, you talked about Maria kind of being under the radar the last couple of years, but
Yeah.
how do you feel about her playing the way she did in the tournament and being the MVP?
Yeah, Maria, I don't know if this is the best word to use or not, but Maria's a stud. She's a good player, and she gets things done. And she is as tough as they come. We've never had a player play through more injuries. We've never had a player literally as tough as she is and get as much done. She runs the floor every single possession. She goes to the boards every single possession. She's 5'11". She gives up a lot of size and strength, but she still gets as much done as most other post players. So, you know, I love Maria. I love everything she brings to our team. And I think her team really realizes that she's quite a leader for them.
Coach, talk about doing this a second time. Obviously, if you're going to become a real mid-major power, you have to do this year in and year out. What does that mean then to take a step towards establishing yourself in that regard?
Yeah, I don't know. I think it helps. It'll help when the season's done. We look back at it that way. You know, I'm not really worried about trying to be a mid-major power right now. I'm worried about getting home and cracking open a Diet Coke probably and relaxing, I guess. But, you know, it helps. You have to have a series of success. You can look at last year's team as kind of that Cinderella story. And I know I don't want to be a Cinderella story. We want to have people look at us as a team that can compete every single year. And unless you do this a lot, you get caught in the shuffle. It's just one of those teams that has a great year and then kind of forgotten about. So, but that wasn't the intent of this year. You know, the intent of this year was to take a game at a time and hopefully have a chance to get better here. You did.
AJ, how worried were you at the
Last
end?
question.
They don't call an offensive foul on Looper there, and you're down a point if she makes a free throw. So I mean, it was kind of slip away time there in the final minute. How did you have kind of a bad feeling in the pit of your stomach at that point?
No, I don't know if I had a bad feeling. I think they called that. Seemed like fairly consistent. I'll go back and watch the film and see if it was different or not. But you know, had Kristen made that three, I'm not worried about what happens on the other end. And there's going to be a lot of had this not happened or had this happened. That's the way it always goes in close games. So I don't feel like my emotion changed at all based on that one particular call. I haven't done this exceptionally long, but in 10 years we've had some go against us, some go against us, and some go for us. So we just kind of work through it.
One more.
It's up to these guys. Last one.
Hey, Bigham and Looper, obviously good players, going to get their shots, and look like you guys really stepped up defensively on them. How does playing them in this particular game compare you? Obviously, wasn't basketball really guard dependent. How does that compare you going into the tournament, knowing that that's the backcourt you just beat?
You know, I think it helps. I think this whole tournament helps. Defensively, I can still go back to that. We were great defensively. You know, they shot 38% for the game. We didn't have anybody get to 40% against us here in this three-game stretch, and that was back to back to back against good offensive teams. When our team is committed to playing defense and committed to taking care of the ball, we can be a really good team. And I think we've been that all year. When those two areas have struggled, we've struggled a little bit. So hopefully our team will build on this because it does not get any easier in the next game. So, thanks, everyone.